Jonathan, can someone here explain to me what Nancy Pelosi is doing with the articles of impeachment? We now have about 8 Democratic senators saying we'd like to see them. You can send them over now.
She doesn't have to listen to them.
No, she's not.
The Speaker of the House.
She's not.
So the arena, she used that word, the arena, a couple times, not just, Theodore Roosevelt's the man in the arena. What she's talking about is she needs to know whether this will be a real trial or a fake trial, one or the other. A trial without witnesses is not a trial, full stop. It's a fake proceeding and a cover-up, as Chuck Schumer said. And even if you look at some of the practical things she has to do, like decide who the House managers will be, the prosecutors in this case, if it's just opening and closing statements, she wants orators. If it's witnesses, she wants litigators, people who are really good at questioning witnesses. Those are 2 sometimes different kinds of people. Now, maybe Adam Schiff is both, but she needs to think about what her strategy is. And also, this strategy is working for her. It's very possible that this will get delayed all the way until February 4th, when the State of the Union takes place. What I think Democrats are hoping is that Donald Trump is not allowed to get up there and say from the House of Representatives in front of the whole country, I've been vindicated. It was a witch hunt. If the trial hasn't yet been resolved, he's under more of a cloud, like Bill Clinton when he gave his State of the Union during the Lewinsky scandal. That's not as good for him politically. So Pelosi's still holding cards here.
Yeah, and Joy, this timing issue, I think, is probably the most important of them all, about how does this interact with the State of the Union and all that. But I think we now see how this is going to go, because Mitch McConnell's not going to agree, not going to negotiate with Nancy Pelosi, not going to agree to anything, not negotiate with Schumer. He's got the votes. He has Mitt Romney's vote to proceed under the Bill Clinton rules. And Mitt Romney has said the Bill Clinton rules include the option to call for witnesses during the trial. And Mitt Romney's going to vote for witnesses. He's going to vote specifically for John Bolton and possibly more witnesses. And who knows how many other Republicans are going to vote for witnesses.
But that's the question. Who knows how many others? And I think that I think Jonathan's exactly right. It is in the speaker's benefit to wait to see where Cory Gardner is going to go, where Martha McSally is going to go, where Joni Ernst, the vulnerable senators who are up for re-election, need to make decisions, because you're not really going to get reelected in Colorado rubber stamping a fake trial. Some of these guys are in a tougher position than others. The other thing a card that Speaker Pelosi has not played that she could, and that Adam Schiff could play, is to say, OK, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do what your counsel said for us to do. We're going to reopen hearings, and we're going to call John Bolton. John Bolton has said he wants to testify. There's no difference testifying to the House than to the Senate. Come testify here if you're just going to stipulate to what the House found. So what Mitch McConnell, he thinks he's quite wise, but he's really quite foolish, because Speaker Pelosi holds all the cards. If they want to reopen hearings on Donald Trump and call those same witnesses and say stipulate to that.
Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on the button below for more from The Last Word and the rest of MSNBC.